So this guy here, he is the puller for the Chardok group. He's a 16 Necromancer. The way he's able to actually move around Chardok this way is because he got levels. Or rather, excuse me, he got faction in Droga. So he just put his pet there. So the next thing he's going to do is basically target that mob there and attack it with his pet. So first he's going to change locations, so that he doesn't get trained directly, but it sort of funnels in the trains in a nice little group. But he's not going to make an attack right away. He's first going to just set it there and then run to the next location where he's going to have to spawn another pet. So he just shouted in chat, ready check, because at this point he's going to make sure that everyone's ready for this massive pull that's about to take place. So it looks like only 4 out of the 6 people required are actually ready. The cleric is ready, 2 enchanters are ready. The out DPS isn't ready, but the in DPS is ready. And I'll probably go over what those things are next round as well. So let's look back at the zone in. Alright, what we see here, you see the enchanters set up over here. One of them is in charge of keeping that mob right there, Maz. That Mangler. It's a random spawn. It could be some other kind of mob in the zone, but it always spawns here in the entrance and paths around. It's one of the enchanters. You can see one of them is an air elemental. It's their responsibility to keep one of those mevs. That responsibility changes there. You can see there's also a cleric right there. He's the one that's going to be doing the DB/DA rotation when it comes up. So back to the puller, he's still waiting. And we're all just waiting for, I think, another enchanter to come back. On the next round too, I'll see if I can get a map. Alright, the pull has started, thus he has already aggroed the mobs down below, so they're all essentially training back up to him at this point. He's now going to run back towards the zone in, and then attack once again with that second pet where that's set right over there by the bridge. Then all of these mobs that he's running past now are going to chase him. Remember, the reason he's not attacked in the first place is because he has faction. That's one of the special duties, you can say, of the puller, is to have that faction. This doesn't work, clearly, if you don't have a faction that you can run right past these mobs. Every puller does generally the same thing. Most pullers will wait right where he's waiting right now and see if there are any mobs about to spawn. He's actually going to do some extra work by placing another pet right there. And he's looking around the corner to see when they're going to pop up, so when he knows when to run. So now he's almost back at the entrance. And see right there, this cleric is going to heal him to transfer all the aggro to cleric. And that's on purpose. Because now he's going to feign death, and we're going to wait and see when the mobs are all going to appear around the corner. At this point too, he doesn't want to actually tag any of the mobs, because if they die, he will lose his faction. And obviously, he needs to do this more than once. So here comes the first wave. Now see the cleric. Excuse me, the cleric right there that healed is now sitting down and is divine buried. He has all the aggro, but the tough part is now that the enchanters now have to start stunning all of these mobs as they flow in. This is when my computer is going to start lagging out as well, because this gets serious. So I just put in show spell effects off. That takes the spell effects off. Obviously the effect is still happening, but the effect is off. Now here's called the second wave is coming. If you notice right here, remember there's 2 pets that he put down? Here's what all those pets aggroed. All the bridge, all those things that came before. A good puller is able to actually properly get 2 good waves with a handful of little ones coming between. A bad puller makes it so it's constantly streaming in, which makes it much harder to time the DA/DB rotation, everything else. Now you notice right there, all the wizards and everyone standing on the wall just ran in. They are now running in. Even bards too, actually, are very helpful with this. Are going to run in and then do AoE damage to these mobs. At this point, basically everyone's going to die anyways, so it's pretty much safe to kind of move around and take a look. But this is actually a pretty good stack. This is most of the zone. You can notice actually there's a little bit of a pattern because the way they run in straight, and then they cut to the right, and then they look directly, essentially, at the cleric who's still standing right there, who at this point doesn't actually hold the aggro anymore. It's all in the enchanters and DPS at this point. So at this point, the enchanters are also doing a stun rotation. There's 3 different stuns, and they do not overlap. So every enchanter has to be on a different stun at a different point in time. I think it's the color slant, color shift line of stuns. So a big part of this obviously is not running out of mana, so ways that this can go wrong. Enchanters can run out of mana, which is one of the reasons the requirement is to be 60, or at least people like you to be 60. Another reason is also for resists. When at 60 you have a much less chance of being resisted than even at 59. And with this many mobs, a handful of resists can spend spell death really quickly. There's only a handful left, so I can put the spell effects back on. And you'll see, yep, it's the same old thing you'd expect. It's a bunch of AoEs, like blue particles, and then a whole lot of fire and everything else going on from all the other AoEers. Notice the puller also just stays down this whole time because their job is done at this point. Everything is entirely up to the AoEers at the zone in. And there you have it. That's Chardok AE. huge amount of hit point or experience. Pretty much the best in the game at this point in time.